Afternoon, Manchester United fans. Latest Manchester United news. Mourinho, DALOT to Real Madrid. We'll have to see if that one plays out. That's an interesting story we saw from a lot on social media this morning, a lot last night as well. We'll have to see what happens regarding that one. Our main story is going to be focusing on Elliot Anderson, and lots of channels, actually every channel I think I know of today, is talking about Anderson to Manchester United. And is it going to be something that is more likely to happen, considering the instability at City at the moment? No one knows what's going to happen with Manchester City. All we know is that Pep Guardiola is going to leave. One thing that was interesting, there was a couple of articles I read about 10 minutes ago, and this comes from like January, where they were posting actually months ago that Pep Guardiola told City bosses he wanted to quit. They were effectively begging him to stay. So Maresca coming in seems to be something that they've obviously been discussing with Mourinho for some time about trying to keep him at the club. And you can see that City spent massive amounts of money in January as well to try and make sure they won the league, which looks like it's not going to happen. The question is going to be now is like, does Anderson look at Manchester United as actually, for once, maybe the first time in years, for once, actually a bit more stable than the situation we're seeing at the Etihad? So maybe with Michael Carrick, and over the last, say, since January, Manchester United have picked up more points than Manchester City. They've completely outplayed Manchester City when they played head to head. They've beaten every other top six team as well. So in terms of like trajectory, Manchester United would feel like they've definitely got a good opportunity to try and convince Anderson to join. And this is the probably where we kind of arrive at this situation. And it might be the first time in ages that people will be looking at United and actually thinking, well, maybe Manchester United can actually put together a package that appeals to Anderson. They can look at, say, the next 5 years of your career. No one knows what's going to happen at Manchester City. It's going to be potentially a lot of change. Maresca's going to. I'm not. No, Maresca's a decent manager. He did an okay job at Chelsea, but I don't think he's going to have the same level of pull that Mourinho. Not Mourinho. He's not going to have the same level of pull that Pep Guardiola had to get players at City. He's not a proven winner in the same way that Pep Guardiola or Alex Ferguson used to be, and that sometimes is a massive factor in getting players to play for your club. That I think with Alex Ferguson and people like Mourinho back when he was at Chelsea, and also people like Pep Guardiola, it doesn't give you a guarantee, but it gives you an extremely good chance to lift a lot of trophies in the next 4 or 5 years if you sign for them. I think him leaving, suddenly you've got 2 years in a row with Man City, probably spending as much money as anybody, but not lifting the major titles in the Premier League and the Champions League as well. And actually, the Champions League, they've been quite poor compared with other clubs. And actually, Arsenal have outperformed City for a couple of years now in the European competitions, and we could be looking at maybe a changing of situation. So if you're new to the channel, then this is very interactive. So I will be going through lots of comments, and feel free to get any sort of comments and questions as well. And say, yeah, Pep's got some issues. He's got some issues. I don't know where he's going to be going as well. And you could be seeing potentially a couple of things now. If you remember the story about the transfers we're talking about, it seems to be like kind of falling into line, doesn't it? All the links about Enzo to City, the links of Enzo to City look like there must be a reason now where you got Maresca in there. Maresca was, I think, if you look at Maresca at Chelsea, it might be quite similar to Mourinho at Porto, and I think you might see a situation where it doesn't always happen, and it does get linked a lot in the media, and people do discuss it a lot. As soon as a manager goes from one club to another club, loads of people assume that that manager is going to take some of the better players with him. It doesn't always happen, but when you look at Mourinho taking Deco, taking Carvalho, it can happen with some clubs. Certainly hasn't happened to the benefit of Manchester United and recent managers, but you might see that Maresca has a look at some of the players that City, maybe there's some of the requirements City have, and certainly in midfield. If he thinks Enzo is going to be a good fit for that, maybe they look at that situation. I think the Rodri situation is going to be very up in the air. And which is a better? You're throwing out the names too many and Anderson. To be honest, too many and Anderson would be. I know when people talk about getting numbers in, those two numbers are ridiculous. Those two people are ridiculous, aren't they? If Man United got too many and Anderson, and you have a situation where there's uncertainty at the top of the league, I don't know. That would be that. I know we've had like kind of false dawns in the past. That would feel a bit like a ridiculous start in terms of like fixing midfield. Like if you got a midfield with too many and Anderson, you could put like someone out of the chat as the third midfielder. I think most people would be, fair enough. It looks pretty good. Now, it would be those two names are obviously incredible signings, but you're looking at probably the best part of 170 million pounds for both of those players. So that feels a little bit insane, doesn't it? So I get the feeling with that one, United would love to have one of too many or Anderson. If they got both of them, then that would be, something crazy, wouldn't it? Regarding Pep as well, I think Pep will take a year off. That's my kind of thoughts regarding that one. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be. Yeah. So, yeah, what do you think about okay, just the names on paper? So like too many plus Anderson, if they were the targets, they Andy says money well spent. I think those to be honest, those two people are exceptionally good football players, aren't they? Um, Type Clause says I would take those two. We wouldn't need three then. I think you need some depth. I mean, if Man United bought, say, if Man United bought Edison from Atalanta, and he was the third choice midfielder and was there somewhat as a backup, and we had too many plus Elliot Anderson. I think when the third midfielder could be a budget option. Actually, you could look at it and say maybe Hayden Hackney could be that third signing. So if you do get your best quality players, and if you do get, say, target number one and two are incredible, and you still have the option of like Matheus Fernandes as well. I think, but to be honest, when you get if you get one of those top players in, and too many, or say Elliot Anderson are top players in my opinion. If you get one of those deals done, then it takes a bit of pressure off the other signings. That we could look at Fernandes, and there is a story this afternoon or this morning saying that if um, if West Ham get relegated, which does feel pretty likely given the circumstances, then they need to sell £100 million worth of players. That's the story that I read this morning. So if that's true, then West Ham will need to offload. You could probably say that Matheus Fernandes might be at least half of that. And then you could look at the club and say maybe they're looking at Juve, but how much is he going to cost? So potentially there could be a few players leaving the club for sure. And I'd imagine for West Ham, they'll be hoping to get as much as they can for Matheus Fernandes, but I don't think they're going to be getting. Yeah, maybe they can get 50 plus, like, but not. I don't think they can get a lot more than that, given the market value. And there's a lot of other players as well. Welcome, Grace, to the chat. Let me quickly put the Dallo story up. So sorry, Grace, this is not personal. I know you like Dallo. This is anything. If anything, this is complimentary towards Dallo, and this is one where I have actually no idea how much the market value is of Dallo. I don't think Dallo is a player that's going to be forced out of Manchester United either. He's played. I don't think Man United have lost a game when he started this season. I'm sure I read that this afternoon. So I don't think he's versatile. He's not a player that Man United are looking to push out there. Is there a chance that Man United see this as going to be someone they can like? Is it worth Man United selling Dallo at this point in time and then looking at trying to invest that money in the rest of the team? It feels a little bit like I don't know. It doesn't feel like the right time to do these sort of deals. So I think Dallo is. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best quality player for years and years to come. But I don't see Man United actually getting enough money for him, and I don't see the fact he's on like a lowish wage. He's a reliable player. Again, I think he's got versatility on his side and a few other factors on his side. I don't see a scenario where Man United sell Dalot. To be honest, I think he might be linked. And I saw a price that said about 30 million, but I can't really see the point in actually selling Dallo at this point in time. That there's so many issues to fix in the team. I'd be more concerned with there's players that should be moved out, and the players that should be moved out are going to be players like Xerxes, players like Agate that don't really feature in matches. They don't play too much. Manchester United have just got 44 million euros for Rasmus leaving the club, so I feel like there's definitely things moving in the right direction. Like the players moving out are going to be the ones that just aren't really part of the match day squad to start with, and that's all the players on loan and the players like Xerxes and Agate that are very much coming on for like 10 or 15 minutes maximum these days. So those players will go. I don't see Manchester United selling any first team players. Like if you look at the lineups this season, most of the players that are in the first team, I don't see being sold. If anything, you need to actually keep those players and buy replacements for them. So Um, yeah, maybe if Dallo leaves, I want to see some sort of yeah, I want to see some Grace. If Dallo leaves, I want Man United need to bring in someone that's definitely better than him, or maybe if we get too many, there could be some issues. Um, yeah, Cake, I agree. The issue is we got more issues regarding that one. So Dallo is going to cost if we sold Dallo for 30 million, then we probably end up spending more to replace him. And do you trust Man United to do all the deals they need to do? And then I think that the fullback upgrade would be something that is going to be. You could say, okay, so if he goes for 40 million and then you buy Lewis Hall, yeah, if you're looking at replacing him, like I have seen like links with Kadioglu as well. And if Man United feel that they could do these sort of deals, then but again, it feels like an extra deal. But this feels a bit like it would definitely be. It could be beneficial to the club eventually, but in the short term, I don't really see regarding that one. No, so I think at the moment they see like Dallow's not particularly he's not generally effective going forward, but yeah. Imagine Man United fans chanting one more year for Dallow. I mean, we finished third in the league, and it's like people talking about Luke Shaw and Dallow, like they've been playing most games as well. So I think that you get competition, and then eventually you get some competition in place for these players. But if you're looking at what Man United need to do, clearly there's a massive priority. Clearly the issue is going to be that we've got a pretty big player in Casemiro leaving. We've got Agate that looks like he's on his way out as well. So the question is going to be, I have got a poll in the chat as well, and I know it's going to be generally probably positive Man United, but at the moment it's 89% are going for United, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I don't think so. I think there's an interesting story, isn't there? That Mourinho obviously was Mourinho the guy that brought Dallo to Manchester United because I think he's got a good relationship with him, as far as I can see. So that's going to be a positive, absolutely for sure. Cody says, yeah, maybe we should talk about what's the level this club's going to achieve next season, because that for me could be the exciting story of what we're looking at trying to do as well. So Cody says, I think that clear out and incomings could take this squad to another level. And if you look at it, that the fact Casemiro has been one of our maybe better performing players this season, I think is fair to say. And Casemiro has played most of the matches since we've gone on this run of picking up more points than any team since January. And he's part of that team. But I think that yeah, Casemiro, he's going to be going to Miami, I think. So he's going to go to the USA. And Casemiro is effectively, he's played well for Man United, but he isn't as good as he was a few years ago. And I don't think anybody thinks that as well. I think Casemiro is a model professional, but the club moves on and the club needs to look at trying to get to the next level. So I think that's where we start looking at the younger players that are going to come through. Anderson, for me, like we talked about him on the weekend, played really well against United, and we've discussed that quite a lot. And this is something as well that I think Man City are also mindful of. They're looking at maybe moving Rodri on. Maybe they do go for Enzo now with getting that manager in. So maybe that's what they're looking at with as well. Welcome, Rob. Welcome, Jeff, to the chat as well. And yeah, the clear outs of this club, if you look at some of the players leaving the club now, and you look at, say, Rasmus didn't really work out, but he's leaving the club, and we're going to get money back in for him. I think Agati and Xerxes will leave the club, but they'll leave in easier ways than other players have left. So I think the players leaving the club are actually starting to bring more money in. So there is definitely that factor in mind that that Man United aren't loaning, but hopefully the days of loaning out players for a year or two and then getting very little money for them, hopefully that's gone. So yeah, hopefully that's gone, and that's something we can move away from. And hopefully, any exits in the near future are going to be players that are going to be yeah leaving. So Conte leaving Napoli, does that influence any Hoyland deal? No, the Hoyland deal was subject to Napoli getting Champions League football, and then it became an obligation to buy. So the fact Napoli won the last game and secured Champions League football mean that it's a done deal. So it means that Man United, the deal from Rasmus to Napoli is a done deal now. That's going to happen, and that's going to be money coming in as well. Let's say breaking: Enzo Maresca could reportedly try to convince Cole Palmer to join him at City. So, interestingly, if Enzo like no, Maresca's going to join City, that's already got the here we go from Fabrizio. So Man City have moved quite quickly, and it does seem to be that they might be. And I do think that with Maresca, he can get players from Chelsea to join for sure. If they got Cole Palmer and you look at, I would say actually, I think Cherky's more effective than Cole Palmer. So it depends. Like I think if you get Cole Palmer, he's obviously got a skillful player. Is he going to make City a lot better team? And he's more of an individual sort of player. So I don't know. It could be from Maresca. Maybe he's looking to restructure his team. Maybe Cherky's going to be not necessarily first team place either. So I think you don't sign Cole Palmer and then put him on the bench. So if he's going to get Enzo and he's going to get Cole Palmer, for me that suggests that there might be a bit of restructuring at Manchester City that maybe they haven't planned for as well. So it could be this one that it could be that you're looking at the situation there and go, well, maybe Man City they're going to spend quite big on these players. Can they? It would seem like a strange signing for City if, saying if Pep was still there, but now Pep's gone. Maybe things change. Who knows? So we could be seeing different players moving to Man City than we would have got otherwise. Jeff says they're pushing youth on Manchester United channels, saying we've got the players to fill the squad. I always feel like that's a bit risky to try and assume that your academy players can jump into the first team. I don't mind if Manchester United have Elliot Anderson and someone like too many as first team players. I don't mind having like some youth on the bench, but I would still favour going for someone like Hackney for like say if you can get Hackney for 30 million, 35 million, I think you need some cover like that. I don't think you can have a drop off from a world class player to an academy player. For me, that would be that's not sensible, is it? That the academy players should be there to try and eventually break into the team to get some chances, etc. as well. Whereas if you're an academy player and you got too many and Anderson in the team, you're never going to get in the team, are you? So let's be realistic. This is not the sensible approach, is it? You need to make sure that there's some serious cover so that if Man United did sign Anderson and then Anderson gets rested, or I mean, he doesn't get injured so far, does he? So hopefully there's that to consider as well. But no, you'd have to look at the cover as well, and I think that's why they're looking at Edison from Atalanta, Hayden Hackney possible, Agume possibly. But there are these options that could be potential backup ones as well. Welcome Randy to the chat. Um, Academy, to be honest, I don't think there's many that are close to being ready for the first team. They might look good in the academy, but we're not talking about Man United being a rubbish team. We're talking about Man United finishing third and potentially buying players that are going to be, ready for the Champions League. So to have academy players suddenly stepping up, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Lacey is one of the ones that seemed most likely, but even Lacey is probably going to get loaned out next year. That's what they've been kind of implying. So, big up to you, Bilal. Um, I think with this one that you might see academy players actually get more loan deals as well. It's very difficult to see players that are good enough at that sort of age. Cake saying the only players we saw that were bang on it at 18, Giggs and Rooney. And I'm trying to think actually, you could probably make an argument that who started like Marcus Rashford was quite effective as a teenager, but in terms of players, those are probably the only examples, aren't they? I would say Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't bang on it at 18, but got there in a couple of years. So no, it's no, not many players are actually ready at 18, 19, and even like Scholes and Beckham, they were. Beckham was getting loaned out to Preston, and like Giggs wasn't in the team every single game when he started as a teenager. I think Giggs started when he was 17, but he wasn't in the game in the team week in week out. It's tricky to get in. But no, Wayne Rooney was just an anomaly. So yeah, the only one you could think of is possibly JJ Gabriel, but he's only, I think is he still only 15 or has he just turned 16? But he's one that's got a bit more time as well. So before he's an 18-year-old, he's got another couple of years at least. So this is kind of the situation we got. But there's players that look really good at academy level, but we had a conversation about Chido Obi looked unreal when he was playing in the academy, and it took a couple of games in the first team to see that he clearly wasn't ready for first team football. So I can't remember how. Yeah, Lee Sharp must have been quite young. but I can't remember how old he was when he first came through. But I think the difference now might be that I think the physicality of the Premier League has always been there. But I think now that the Premier League's getting faster and faster, it is quite difficult to step into first team football. That I think Koeman did very well to come into a midfield role and actually look up to speed very quickly. And but no, there are examples, aren't there? But I think with Man United, like, do you see like someone like Anderson feels a bit like the perfect age where it's not that he's, say, a couple of years ago, he might have been considered a bit more of a gamble because he was quite young. Now he's got, it's not about Premier League experience either for Anderson. It's about, um, it's not the experience level, it's just the consistency. And I think one of the things I like about Anderson is he's consistently performed. Every time we played against Nottingham Forest, he's consistently performed. And it's the same for me as when I watched Cunha at Wolves. You watch Cunha at Wolves, he always performed against Manchester United, and Bremer always caused us big problems as well. And I think for the academy players, you're going to get a pathway through the first team. Look at Ganacho getting chances. Look at Kobe Mainoo. Look at Aiden Heaven. And I think those are the examples you got that these players do come through the academy and they do get opportunities. And if you're good enough, you will hopefully get in the first team. Maybe with previous managers, not quite so much, but I think now you're going to get definitely some opportunities. I think Elliot Anderson is clearly going to be, for me, like probably the most expensive signing Man United might make. And I think there is question marks, isn't there, over whether it's worth spending that sort of money. But if you consider how old Anderson is and think about how long he could play for Manchester United, I think it feels a bit like a low risk deal. And I don't think it's if you consider the longevity of the signing that we could have him for like 10 years, then the money wouldn't for me feel crazy in the grand scheme of things. Like Wayne Rooney was expensive, Rio Ferdinand was expensive, but I don't think anyone thought, don't get Rio Ferdinand. We can get cheaper options out there because Rio Ferdinand was the best possible option as well. I say Carlos Belieber, saying hopefully Carlos Belieber scores. Say you came in late. The story about Dallo is that I don't know. I don't think Dallo's going to leave. Is my thoughts. The question is going to be is that Mourinho does like Dallo. This is coming from the media in Spain, actually. I think a lot of people are expecting big changes in Real Madrid because of what's happened this season. I think Real Madrid don't have a bad season and don't change things up. So I think if you look at Real Madrid, that to be honest, that Real Madrid have got a team of Galacticos. So if anybody leaves the club, they're going to be good players, aren't they? So when you look at the situation with too many, if too many left, or Valverde, or Vinicius Junior, and Mbappe, there's literally not a crap player at Real Madrid. So when you look at the situation, and I think with Dallo, is it like Real Madrid's right back is expected to be leaving? And I think if you look at the situation, there isn't rubbish play. No, they don't have poor players at Real Madrid. Collectively as a team, they seem to be underperforming. So the frustration for Real Madrid is they've got loads of good players, but for some reason the team's not playing particularly well. So they might decide to change up a bit, and they might decide to switch things. They might be that they decide to change things in light of Mourinho joining. I don't know if Mourinho is going to have loads of power, but then maybe they're looking at the right back situation. Maybe they're looking at midfield as well. Like, do they want to keep to like? It seems like if I was Mourinho, there's no way I'd want players like too many leaving my club. He's just world class, and you'd have to kind of look at the situation as well with Valverde. These are good quality players, but they need to fix the team and they need to work out what's best for Madrid. So I don't know if we're going to see something crazy because all those players I've listed, if Vinicius Junior leaves Real Madrid, it's massive news, like massive, isn't it? And if Mbappe left or Valverde or Tchouameni, like if Tchouameni left Real Madrid and joined Manchester United, it would be like getting Casemiro in his prime. It would be one of those signings that we'd look back and go, bloody hell, how have we managed to get too many? He walks into France's team. He's one of the best teams, but one of the best players for Real Madrid. Um, the numbers are ridiculous as well. I think he's like the leading player in the top five leagues in terms of like successful progressive passes and things, and defensive duels. He's like levels above anybody. So I don't know. Too many feels a bit like a player that if he leaves Real Madrid, I don't know how Real Madrid fans would react because this is for me. It's a little bit like obviously a different player, but it's a little bit like Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Manchester United. When he leaves, you can replace him, but the person you replace him with will not be as good. So if Real Madrid think they can replace too many with another player, then good luck to them. But I don't think I see a player out there that would be able to do what too many does to the same level as consistently. And so that's why I think it'd be a surprise if they let him go, but we'd have to see what happens. 92% of people are voting currently at the moment saying that Manchester United are most likely. For people that missed the stream this morning, then I guess everybody's seen the news about Pep Guardiola. That's probably going to be this is probably going to be the focus of every football channel on YouTube for maybe the most of today. But Pep Guardiola confirmed to leave. Maresca going there. It's starting to make sense now, isn't it? That the Maresca stuff, it must have been organised a while ago. Maresca has not been, particularly proactive in getting another job since left Chelsea, and he left Chelsea a while ago as well. Are you concerned about Mourinho whispering in Bruno's ear to come to Madrid? Oh God, that's something I don't want to consider, to be honest. If okay, if Bruno Fernandes was, I suppose with this one that I don't know. Do you look at it and think with Real Madrid, like Real Madrid have got some issues. Do you think Bruno Fernandes, like who does he displace in Real Madrid's team? Like who do you put out the team? I don't know. It is a concern. I think in the very short term, Manchester United will need someone like Bruno Fernandes. If Bruno Fernandes did eventually leave, then to be honest, that is probably a full scale rebuild then because you are probably looking at also how do you replace Bruno's chance creation, and maybe you could actually look at that and say that there are players that can step up a little bit, and Bremer and Cunha can create more chances. If they did sign someone like Anderson, he would be able to create chances as well. But no, I don't think you'd lose a player like Bruno and not notice it. It's going to cause a big gap in your team. It would open up the question of like, does this change Man United's window? The annoying thing about that is that I think the release clause is not loads. It's like 55 million or something like that. And if Bruno Fernandes did decide to leave, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Would you sell Bruno for 55 million, or would you just keep him and build around him and then hopefully re-sign him or risk losing him for free? That he's under contract still, isn't he? So I don't know. Maybe we should. It depends if we can get someone else in as well. That's the thing. Getting Anderson, Believe, and Fernandez will be great, but they're all too young, says Randy. I think it's I don't know. Are they too young? I think with Believe and Fernandez they're quite young. I think Elliot Anderson, you've got a player that's played in the Premier League for at least a couple of seasons. So I don't know. I think Anderson's like the right age. I think if you're looking at experience, I'd be more comfortable with someone like Too Many for the experience, but you would start looking at thinking that maybe if Bruno Fernandes was any chance of him leaving, you'd have to look at it and think in terms of like maybe the balance of our squad's shifting a little bit to having that. You can't normally have too many younger players, but I think you do need a few experienced ones. Like even the class of '92, they had Brian Robson, they had Eric Cantona, they had Bruce and Pallister in the team, didn't they? So there isn't loads of those players at Man United at the moment. Most of the experienced players are pretty much at the age they're going to be leaving quite soon. So the Harry Maguire, De Ligt's got the injury issues. You've already seen Casemiro leave. So no, maybe if we got three midfielders, I think a bit of experience would be quite key. Um, say Rooney and Giggs were because they're world class players. I think Wayne Rooney just knew he was better than everybody at Everton, and he knew he was just if like Wayne Rooney played for Everton, someone asked him. They said, "Who did you look up to in the Everton dressing room?" And Wayne Rooney pretty much said he realised quite quickly that he was the best player, at Everton. So I think when you know, you know. Yeah, Bruno is a red. Bruno is a red. A big up to you, Jeff. Thank you so much for the super chat. Jeff says, I say, have a good day at work if you can, Jeff. It's I guess where you are now, it's what 6 hours ahead. So is this like seven? I'm guessing it's like 7:30, but I could be wrong. I'm guessing what Texas time is. Have a good day, Jeff, if you can, and we'll catch you. There's going to be a big show tonight for myself, Helgi, with Isabella. I'm trying to get a fourth person on as well, so we'll need like a name for that show. But there's going to be a good one tonight. Aren't Real Madrid getting Nico Paz back? To be honest, I'm not really focused too much on Real Madrid since they started. Yeah, since things have been happening at the moment. Um, So let me go for a few comments. I've got a thing for that one, Maps. So he'd fit a 4-2-3-1. Madrid in the same roles he's doing now. Currently, okay, you got decent defense there, to be honest. Too many Bellingham, Rodrigo, Bruno, Fernandes, Vinicius Junior, Mbappe. To be honest, that's a ridiculous team, isn't it? Who gets replaced then? Are you replacing? Is Valverde being replaced by Bruno in that lineup? I'll say, are they announcing Carrick or not? So with this one, I read a story this morning. This is probably it's not okay. It's not gonna appease you, and it's not going to make you feel better about the situation. But apparently, Man United, the delay in announcing Michael Carrick is that they're working on the coaching system behind Michael Carrick. So I think they want to get some other coaches signed first and then announce it all together. So Michael Carrick will be head coach, but they're going to be employing somebody else extra. I don't know if it's the potentially the Bayern Munich. I think potentially the Bayern Munich assistant manager might be one of the people, but I think they want to make sure they get the coaching structure sort of signed first, then they'll announce it all as one mouth. So I think it's a done deal. I think everybody knows it's a done deal, but I think there's an extra person being recruited, or maybe more. So um, who knows? You'd have thought I thought it was going to be announced before the home game, but this is his last chance, isn't it? He must be about the same age as Roger Miller. If you remember Roger Miller in 19, when was it? 1990, 1990, 1994. I think he was like 42 when he was still playing for Cameroon. But no, I get the feeling that we'll probably be seeing the last tournament for Ronaldo, surely. I don't watch Saudi Pro League, so I don't know what level he's playing at the moment, but it must be a few years since he was at Man United. So Carrick too old to be a playing manager. How old? I don't know how old Michael Carrick is. But I don't know. I don't think Man United. If Carrick can get a Man United's team next season, we haven't done the rebuild properly. So they're prepping for Southgate. Look, Kate, Southgate's not going to manage a team ever. Like, it's not going to manage a football team. So just take that out of your mind. Like, forget about Carrick. And yeah, I think he maybe has slightly more musical talent than Bez. So maybe not maracas, but maybe tambourine. So 44. Who are the cheats that are going at it? So that you mentioned. So I'm going to close the poll because it looks like Man United fans are incredibly either very happy with the situation, but maybe a bit overly optimistic. I put the question saying where does Anderson play next season, or who does Anderson sign for? I think I put it there. So, and it's Man United or Man City, isn't it? What's the reasons against Man United getting Anderson then? If you're Anderson, do you think this is probably a question? Do you think over the next season, do you think Manchester United can finish above City next season? Do you think we'll finish above Liverpool if Slot's still in charge at Liverpool? I don't see. I'm kind of writing off Chelsea. I can see that maybe they lose Enzo, maybe they lose Cole Palmer if those rumours to Man City are true. If Maresca takes a couple of players there, but then I still think that Chelsea are going to lose out a lot because if they try and Chelsea don't have in my view, Chelsea's first 11 does have a few issues like the goalkeeper, the defence. If you take out Cole Palmer and take out Enzo, I think this Chelsea need to spend quite a lot of money to get that squad back up there. So now my thoughts were going to be if you're Anderson and you're looking at Manchester United, and you look at Manchester City, is this the first time in ages where actually the next 5 years, maybe Man United can actually outperform City? We've seen what's happened with the big signings that City have brought in. It hasn't really, it hasn't really worked so far. Donnarumma isn't as good as Lamans on season's form. Lamans was a better signing. Cherki was a very good signing. But even like when Holland has an off day, sometimes City fail to score, and Man United are probably creating more chances than City are in the second half of the season. And City do have some defensive vulnerabilities they've never really been able to address despite throwing money at it. And even against them, like recent games against Everton, where Man United have had to defend in defensive games, we've actually managed to keep a clean sheet against Everton and City. Let's say Everton plus Chelsea, and we've actually seen Liverpool and we've seen Manchester City now, both having defensive issues as well. What if too many joins City, Anderson to United? Um, Yeah, I hadn't considered that. To be honest, I haven't seen any links between City and too many. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that with this one, I think we need to be on the phone to Casemiro and get him to sell the project. I would imagine that if you look, one thing that seems to have happened recently is there have been a few players changed between Real Madrid and Manchester United. And if you're a Manchester United player, like say Cristiano Ronaldo, Ruud van Nistelrooy, you look at those players, they can see like maybe with Madrid, it could be like a for Cristiano Ronaldo, he's a Portuguese um, child growing up. He always wants to play for Real Madrid, so he goes to play for Real Madrid. I think with Van Nistelrooy, it was just too good an opportunity not to go there. And I think going the reverse way, when you're at Real Madrid, you're at one of the biggest clubs in Europe. If you're going to go from Real Madrid, a really heritage club, you're going to look for who's one of the most historical clubs in England. You're probably looking at the big clubs like Manchester United. I don't think they want to go from Real Madrid to a club like Man City. Even like Casemiro, he said he won everything. He was very happy with this one. So there's a big history with this one, like a big history, and there's a good relationship between Manchester United and Real Madrid. This is something that we've seen, and if you compare all the big signings that have moved hands, like Ronaldo and Ruud, Heinz, Bex, actually there's loads, isn't there? And then we got Varane, we got Casemiro, we got unlucky with Varane. And actually we got who's the other guy we got? Di Maria, who I kind of like forget, but we got him as well. And there's just been a big history of like players going from Real Madrid and Manchester United. And I'm just wondering whether it's like a historical thing that goes back a lot with the history, but also they're very prestigious clubs, aren't they? So if you're the biggest club in Spain, you're going to want to go to the biggest club in England probably. And I think this is kind of why I think it would be more likely as well. And I think also there's a lot of links between. I think Maresca will definitely look at the Chelsea team. So it feels like inevitable, doesn't it? I think Enzo's going to go to City. He's been linked heavily. And do you think that Rodri will stay at City, or do you think? Because I think City would like to keep Rodri and maybe keep some. Maybe Rodri's going to be still in the squad, and they have Enzo as well. But you do need some depth, so I think they might look at that one. And yeah, I think in terms of like size of club, when you leave Manchester United, in terms of stature of the club, like not I'm not talking about sort of success rate in the last couple of years, but in terms of like the stature of the club, Real Madrid's like the only where you don't step down, isn't it? Real Madrid, I don't want to say it's a step up, but historically it probably is in terms of like European status. But no, when you look at this, I think there's going to be definitely less likelihood that Maresca going to City, I think it changes it a bit in Man United's favour. I'm not going to say it's like 90% like the average vote in the chat, but I think maybe a week ago we'd have had a different view. So maybe it was a question. If you voted yes, Man United are going to get Elliot Anderson, and you looked at it and said, like, no, a couple of weeks ago, you just said, I don't think he's going to go there. He's going to be going to Manchester City. Is there more than one factor that's influenced your decision? Like, is it just because of Pep, or is there a different factor influencing you? Because I think for me that I think Pep leaving is big news, but also once you get a new manager coming in, and I think and maybe they start looking at Chelsea have got some very good midfielders. Is Elliot Anderson going to be someone that suits Manchester United a bit more than City? They're going to give him maybe more of a free role. He is a player that I think, in terms of what he does on the pitch, that maybe discipline. He might have to be a bit more disciplined if he goes to Man City in terms of what he does. I think it's yeah, at Nottingham Forest, clearly you can see like he's all over the pitch in midfield, and maybe in City they'd have an idea that they want him to do a certain role, but I don't know. And and also if you went back 5 years ago, he could go to City and win, pretty much be guaranteed to win the league. I think if you look at City now, then if they mess up this season, and it looks a bit like Arsenal just got to get over the line now, haven't they? They just got to make sure they win their last game. And City could probably throw it away before that match if they mess up before. Are we going to see a situation where there's no guaranteed trophies at Arsenal, sorry, at Man City, and then Man United potentially we've got a good chance. So you still find City signing Maresca. Yeah, I was thinking with City, when Maresca was linked ages ago, I was just not sure about that because I think Maresca did okay at Chelsea, but I don't think Maresca was doing amazing at Chelsea. That looking at the results, Chelsea were the reason Maresca got sacked was because results were getting quite poor, and that under Maresca they weren't exactly playing amazing football. They were still struggling in most competitions. So I find it a bit unusual that he was suddenly talked about as being like the best replacement because yeah, on recent track record, you'd say if you're going to sign one of the best managers in the Premier League, they wouldn't have picked Maresca because Maresca was probably getting outperformed by, at the time, probably like Glasner and probably you could say Areola was outperforming him as well. So yeah, I think for some reason there's like must have been some sort of plan for that one. I mean, I think he'll do okay. Like maybe this is the one where it's difficult to say, isn't it? We'll see what happens. We'll have to see what happens when Maresca goes there. But yeah. So too many will show him he could fight. So Bruno Fernandes, Manu. I think Mount might be maybe Mason Mount might be on the way out. So what's this story linked to, Ryan? They didn't want him taking the place of a British player. No, the FA are messing a lot of things up, aren't they? Cody says, yeah, interestingly, when you're talking about Pep Guardiola, a lot of things that people say is that sometimes it takes you a year to work out what Pep needs, and some of those players that have been there a little bit longer, they're going to have to change the way they play, and we might see like an adaptation process. And to be honest, I think with City, they've got good players, but this season, I don't think they've hit the levels that they have for a while. And this season, it's been like most of the season. Like they might still get over the line, but if you think about Man United offered to Stefano, he was like, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Do you remember when Man United went to play in the World Club Cup and they wouldn't let Man United reschedule an FA Cup match, like the third round match, because that was the only match that would clash with the Club World Cup, and the Club World Cup was there to kind of promote football in the same way that Manchester United were pioneers in Europe. And the European Cup was something that the FA didn't like either, and that's probably why the FA blocked it. That the FA was not in favour of Man United entering in Europe, but for Matt Busby, it was important, and Man United saw European football as an important way of progressing football. And it's the same way as like the Club World Cup when it's quite a small competition in about 2000. Manchester United entered it after winning the treble in '99, and the FA would not reschedule a match for the FA Cup. So then all the press ran stories saying Man United boycott the FA Cup. They didn't boycott the FA Cup. They just wanted the FA to actually help a little bit and just move the match. And the FA just dug their heels in, and unfortunately, that's what happened. But no, Man United are definitely that's. There's been a few instances where, in terms of where football's going, Man United have been the pioneers, and they have actually had progressive thinking managers that recognise the trends football are going in, and it's just really annoying. But no, no, it's like no, it's a good point, Cake. It's a good point. I think that's one of the things I talk about when you think about where does Anderson go? Because Anderson is playing at a team that actually has some history. Nottingham Forest, back-to-back European Cups. Very few teams have ever done that. Manchester United have not done that, and there's only I think probably only Liverpool in England that's done it. And winning two in a row is pretty impressive for Nottingham Forest, and that's something that most clubs will never achieve in their sort of history. And Manchester United have got the same. We've obviously got more history, but than Forest, but we've also got that sort of history going back to that sort of era. So I think one of the things that Casemiro said when he was leaving was he couldn't believe how you walk out on Old Trafford. Do you remember Benjamin Sesko? And Benjamin Sesko must have played in like some top grounds around Europe. He walked out at Old Trafford and was like, "Wow, this is like yeah, it's something impressive." And I did see Zlatan actually last week as well. Like Zlatan was asked, "Where's the best place to play football?" And he said Manchester United. So there's something there that we see as fans. If you go to different grounds, you might notice it a bit. But I think sometimes with Old Trafford, you've got like a good relationship with the fans. Like the fans will support you a lot more than other clubs. And I get that feeling that and your away support as well. I mean, he must have played at Forest and seen like how many Man United fans are at the Forest game. So yeah, I mean, hope I was going to say Ryan. Hopefully it stays zero. We'd have to see. We'd have to see. I don't want to see Arsenal doing a Premier League and Champions League double. But if they do win it, if Arsenal do beat PSG, fair play. Right, if they do that, fair play. It's a one-off game. Who knows? It's a historical moment for them. I'm saying, is Matheus Fernandes not in the Portuguese squad, Jay? I guess the Portuguese squad, they've got a lot of good players. And to be honest, I'm going to be actually trying to cover all the World Cup matches on this channel, which is going to be tricky because there's a lot of them. But myself and like a few other people, hopefully we're going to cover the whole competition. I think when you're looking at it, that Fernandes could be a good deal, couldn't he? He could be actually a sensible price. So in terms of like Fernandez, like is he available for I don't know 40 million, something like that one? Which which bit? Which bit did I say? I can't remember what I said. I'll be up to you, Cake. Enjoy your shopping trip. You're gonna go and get some food, are you, Kate? I don't know why I'm assuming you're food shopping. I just can't imagine you like doing clothes shopping for some reason. Chelsea bigger than Arsenal? I don't know. In the UK, I think in the UK, I'd say fan base wise, Arsenal are bigger than Chelsea. But I don't think Chelsea. It depends. I've lived in a few places, and Cake's off to buy the new kit to give the Glazers some money. Cake, you're gonna have to buy a few kits though, because we need to fund Anderson. Like we need to pay for Elliot Anderson, so you're gonna have to buy a fair few kits as well, and none of those counterfeit kits. We need the money going to Man United to get that there. No. That's a funny one. No, in terms of this, I think Elliot Anderson could definitely be swayed by some of the things we've been talking about as well. Maybe it's actually maybe Arsenal just got louder, more annoying fans, and maybe that's a factor. I mean, that could be a factor. They seem to be everywhere, don't they? But it could just be that they let their presence be known, put it that way. There's a lot of Arsenal fans on social media, like disproportionately so to real life, I feel. Like they definitely like it definitely attracts shouty people that like to rant about things, doesn't it? A big up to Mr. B, Manchester VAR United. Actually, Mr. B, VAR was actually going to rule out the goal, to be honest, and the referee actually just said no, it's a goal. So this is one of the instances where VAR actually probably would have disallowed the goal. And yeah, Neymar's going to the World Cup, is he? I thought I thought Neymar had like semi-retired. I'm not gonna lie. I thought you don't hear about players for ages. I'm surprised Neymar's still in the World Cup squad. But maybe it shows the levels that Brazil have dropped to. But no, that's a crazy one. As a neutral, Mr. B, what do you think regarding Pep Guardiola leaving, Manchester United being heavily linked with Anderson? I get the feeling that maybe we might be putting a bid in, test the water regarding this one. Yeah, when's Neymar's sister's birthday? Because I think it depends on like when he wants a holiday, doesn't it? I don't know. Neymar's a strange one, to be honest. So Neymar, I did see João Pedro missed out, which makes me wonder which strikers they've got. Like they can't have Richarlison in the squad, surely. Like so, you got Neymar going, João Pedro out. You've got some, yeah. What is going on with Brazil? Martinelli, I think, is not the greatest. It's just it's a strange one that for Brazil. I think the Matheus Fernandes not. I thought Fernandes had actually just broken into the Portuguese squad, so maybe there's an instance where they're looking at some of the players and deciding that maybe I did see that with João Pedro. Then they said like you're not going to feature in this World Cup, but you will feature in subsequent World Cups. I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit of I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? I wouldn't take Neymar to be honest. Like, I think the thing is though, Brazil used to be like the team everybody looked at in terms of being a world-class team. And now you look at Brazil and think they have players like that play for Leeds and Everton, and suddenly you think actually they're not that great. So I don't know, maybe Brazil will surprise people. If Casemiro's in the squad and he's like a few years past his best, if they had like Casemiro, Richarlison, I don't know, you'd look at it and think, and Neymar as well. This feels a bit like a OAP trip out, doesn't it? Regarding that feels a bit like I don't know, you're taking out people from a care home more than anything. So honestly, I thought Neymar might have retired, but dropping João Pedro, João Pedro's actually been one of the few good players for Chelsea this season. But wow, if Brazil get it together, fair play. But I'll be looking at the squad thinking, bloody hell! Like, do you remember when it used to be R9 or like Romario, Bebeto, Dunga? You got Roberto Carlos, you got Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, and now you got wow some average players. So Pep has been amazing, changed a lot in the Premier League with his style of play and football. Maybe he's taken City as far as he can. And so, but I think that's what a lot of people think is whoever takes over will not do as well at City, and it might influence where players like Anderson go. I think that's the hope for Man United fans. We're looking at it thinking, let's hope that let's hope that things don't go too well at Manchester City, and that's probably the hope for a lot of us. But that's why I think does this change people's opinions regarding like whether Carrick was a good appointment? Like, is this the time to actually go for so we have maybe stability this season could be a key thing for United. That when we're looking at it, if Man United are looking at potentially trying to get Luis Enrique in the future, can you imagine this then? This is the scenario. You got Pep Guardiola leaving, you got Slot at Liverpool who's struggling at the moment, and I think for Man United, if he wanted to actually get if he wanted to actually get back to where we need to be, then hopefully Carrick can do it. But if Michael Carrick can't do it, then the idea is going to be, can you get a world class manager in that can do it? And if Carrick can step up and actually win the Premier League, we might find out how well he's going to get on next season with the extra European matches. But if he can step up, I think most people would prefer that. Most people would prefer that to be the case. But if Man United look like in a year's time or 2 years' time that we're not effectively progressing, maybe that's when things change, and maybe that's when we see possibly like a move for Luis Enrique. But if Man United actually rebuilt and got to a stage where you thought that actually, Man United have actually got the squad to try and win the Premier League, then maybe that's the time when Luis Enrique would look at Man United as a good option to move. I think this year's too soon, and maybe like another year at PSG. If he wins something like that, then we could look at maybe. So maybe that could be the situation. And will I take him at United? I don't know. He hasn't won the. You could argue that City have had the best squad for a couple of seasons. They're not winning the big trophies though. So I don't know. I think at the moment, I think Pep Guardiola looks like he wants a break. So I don't think there's no doubt he's been one of the best managers in the Premier League era. But I think he looks like he wants a break from football for a bit. Yeah, Thiago's very good, but I think R9, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, like the 2002 team seems to be like the last phenomenal Brazil team. But I don't know. Hulks, I didn't know. He was linked to Man United about, I don't know, 6 years ago, wasn't he? Wonder who's going to be the standout player this time. I don't know. Maybe the man on screen. Maybe Anderson does well in the World Cup. I think a lot of people are thinking that if you can get the deal done, you can get potentially you can get a better price. So it might be that England are going to be England could be a force to be reckoned with. Like maybe we're going to see, maybe we're going to see some Man United players actually do well in the World Cup. If you think Bruno Fernandes, like slower pace game, Portugal are a good team. They could be a dark horse. I think Elliot Anderson, Kerry Mainu. I think is Luke Shaw in the squad. There's Maguire in the squad. I'm not sure, but I think if you're looking at Anderson, maybe he's going to be a standout player. He looks like he's someone that's ready to step up international level. I think with Mainu as well, if he gets opportunities, he's very calm and composed. I get the feeling that England's team, there's a lot of quality in the squad. It's about working out if they can actually get the best out of the team. Maybe Harry Kane is going to be someone that scores some goals. So it could be an English player that stands up to. You could look at the usual people like Mbappe usually turns up at a World Cup. Like France are going to be a strong team. I'm not sure who's the favourites. Like those two have got to be up there, I think, regarding that one. So is this like the players you think should go to the World Cup? But there's going to be like quite a few players to look out for in the World Cup. I mean, the World Cup's going to be so big that it's going to take a little while to get even through the group stage, isn't it, with 48 teams? But I'd imagine that we're going to see like a few standout performances. I think maybe we're going to see, if we see something like England versus France, maybe we're going to see like some serious battles with like Tchouaméni, Anderson, and like Mbappe and Harry Kane. So that might be a good game to watch, or maybe one of the games of the World Cup if that does happen. I think it's going to be quite a close tournament. I think it's going to be not much in it. But also, yeah, we'll have to see. I think England have got to be one of the favourites teams surely in this competition. I'm not sure how it's going to be affected by sort of temperature and things, and depends when the games are. But yeah, there's going to be a few teams that are going to be. Yeah, I think it's really difficult to compare, isn't it? Because the qualifying groups are too easy for England, and you don't really know until England play against a good team how good they are. So I think a lot of these teams, I think the way the groups are going to be as well, a lot of these teams will get through the groups quite easy. Maybe Norway could be a surprise team. Like there could be a surprise team as well, and maybe we see that as well. A few players stepping up. But has anyone's got any questions about Anderson? For people that just tuned in late, we have been talking about the story regarding Pep, and we looked at the kind of surprise story which I did talk about. I know people thought it was a bit of a strange one, but no, Dalot has been linked with Real Madrid. This is mainly coming from sources in Spain, and it comes a lot from like Mourinho does like him. I think actually Mourinho has been linked to Marcus Rashford as well. So there are potentially links between, say, I think for Rashford and Real Madrid, I think Man United fans would generally be probably happy if that happened because I think Real Madrid. I can't honestly because it's so long ago. I can't even remember the relationship that Mourinho had with a lot of players. I knew he didn't get on very well with Luke Shaw, but I can't remember regarding Rashford. I think at the time you can. I think at the time with Mourinho, we had, let's say, Zlatan and Pogba were playing well. I'm guessing that Rashford obviously was a contributing factor in winning like the FA Cup and the Europa League in that one season. So I'd imagine that you might be looking at potentially some of those players that Mourinho brought in. Like Mourinho is one of these managers actually that I did say that Mourinho is one of these managers that would sometimes try and get players from a previous club to join him. Like you look at Zlatan, you look at like Carvalho and Deco from from Porto. So the fact that Mourinho's worked with a lot of different teams now, I think he is a manager that would look at this and go, and if he thinks Rashford can do a job there, if he thinks Dalot fits what Real Madrid need, as crazy as it sounds, then we could see him try and move for Dalot. I'd imagine Man United would be reluctant to sell him unless they got a very good price. But that's something that's going to be interesting to see, isn't it? No, it should be a good World Cup. Like I said, we're gonna try and cover every single match on the channel for full watch-alongs with different guests hosting. So we will be. I'm kind of working a bit on behind the scenes at the moment to get people so we've got a few people that can all like do different streams to myself. Maybe not Jill. I think Jules is quite busy, but myself, maybe Helgi, maybe G Wolf. We does it better. We could have like a few people that are up for streaming. So it could be, think of it as an alternative to the BBC. You won't see Gary Neville on this channel. So Gary Neville will not be commentating on anything on this channel. So that's a positive. So if you get sick of Gary Neville, and I don't know, I think BBC have lined up some underwhelming pundits. So maybe not look at that one either. Um, United so Di says Pep going City will fall apart now. Maresca is not a wizard. No, did Maresca actually do well at Chelsea, or was he? Do you consider him a failure? You don't get long at Chelsea, do you? You get pretty much you go in. You probably got to get top four as a minimum, and then if you get top four, you probably keep your job, and then next year you probably get sacked. So I don't know what's considered a success at Chelsea. I guess that if you can stay there a whole year and win a cup, maybe, but I don't see Chelsea ever really supporting a manager with a sensible transfer window. It's all about profit these days, isn't it? So I do agree with you, Man United die that I'm not sure City will fall apart, although we have seen signs over the last couple of years that City have gone on really bad runs. If you can figure out a way of stopping Haaland, you can somewhat stop City, can't you? So I think you know how we talked about Man United, and I said that we had three goal scorers in double figures, and people were saying that's not that exciting. I think it's a lot better than having a City attack which goes through. If Haaland doesn't play, how many goals are they getting? And I think it's just that you take him out. Like you can take out Bruno Fernandes if you want, or you can try, but you can't take out Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, and Buemo and Sesko. So we got more threat across our front three at the moment, I think, than City do, based on like the last 3 months. And I think it's a really good achievement. Also, if you consider this, Cunha was like getting about 15 for. I think Cunha got about 15 for Wolves. I think Buemo got something similar for Brentford. Benjamin Sesko didn't score that many goals the year we signed him, but don't forget, like Mbuemo and Cunha would both be taking penalties for their clubs as well. So they'd probably got 3 or 4 goals extra if they were taking penalties. I don't know how many penalties Bruno Fernandes has taken, but if you consider that, we've got players in the clubs that their goal tallies were probably inflated a little bit because the previous club they were at, they took penalties. So once you put them all in the same team, obviously they're not going to score as many goals. I mean, I think at the moment Thiago's doing great at Bournemouth, but he would have had a decent amount of penalties in that total as well. He's obviously quality. He's in my fantasy football team because he does get lots of goals. But it's just that there's definitely a factor, isn't it? And I think if you look at the league table, United have scored like over 20 more goals than last season. So there's clearly a big improvement there. Yeah. End the madness. I should end the madness is going to be like the the champion of the channel so far in like predictions because you said Man United get top four. Nobody else believed you. Maybe you should like say what your prediction is for next season because you were so accurate. Then my prediction for next season at the moment with no transfers in, if we get Anderson, then I think we should be looking at least the same as this season, if not getting closer to challenging. Like I know that sounds a bit ambitious, but I think Arsenal, people have worked out how to play against Arsenal. If Liverpool don't get things together and keep slot, and I'm writing off Chelsea, and if you see like the City might have some teething problems, I think we're the first time for a while we've actually got a stable base. The only thing that I'm concerned about is even if we get top quality midfield players in, even if we get some good signings in, it might still take a bit of an adaptation process to it might still take a bit of an adaptation process to kind of work out how how Anderson's going to fit into our team or how Tchouameni's going to fit into our team or how Angela Stiller or Tonali, whoever it is we sign, it's still going to take a bit of an adaptation process. But I think the signs are pretty positive regarding this one. Thanks for the stats, some Maresca stats. And Maresca got what 92 games managed, 55 wins. Actually, that's quite a good win rate, isn't it? 16 draws, 21 losses, won the Conference League, the World Club Cup, finished fourth, and was fifth when they got sacked. So yeah, maybe I suppose if you include in the Club World Cup games in those, I think in terms of the league, it wasn't bad, was it? It was like consistent, and I would say it was probably consistent with that. If you're like fourth, and then you got fifth when he was sacked, so I'd say that Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City all had better squads than Chelsea. So yeah, I think that's comparable, isn't it? I think that's like he got fourth in the league, probably had the fourth best squad overall, and so you give him one of the better squads. How does he do with Man City? Hopefully not too well. I think the Chelsea model. I don't see the Chelsea model improving too much, to be honest. I think Chelsea have got to get rid of. They bought Garnacho, and they've got to get rid of Garnacho probably. They bought Gittins, and he's probably not been that effective either. The only signing that did work actually was João Pedro, and they've got if they lose Enzo, they might have to look at trying to keep some of the other players. So I think Chelsea have never really addressed their weakness of defence and goalkeeper for years. They go end the madness, give them some commission if those numbers come up. I'm saying like if those are all competitions though, if you get a win rate of like sort of 60% or like 55%, then historically that's kind of similar to finishing like sort of third or fourth in the Premier League. And you hope to improve on that, but he wasn't there at the club very long. So when you go to Chelsea, you get yeah. I think Maresca goes to Chelsea. You have loads of players leaving, loads of players joining every season. I think getting fourth with Chelsea is considering they have the fourth best team. I think if you give Pep Guardiola Chelsea this season and you give Maresca Man City, you probably see teams finishing in the same positions. That I don't think you see Maresca finishing like fifth with Man City, and I don't think you see, I don't think you see Pep Guardiola winning the league with Chelsea. They haven't got a good enough team. So okay, so in the Premier League, 49% then. Okay, so 49% is not as good in the Premier League. So I'll change my mind slightly on Premier League stats. I think Alex Ferguson got 55, didn't he? I think at the moment, considering this is Maresca's stats, 49%, and the stats that Michael Carrick has, I think win rate must be about 65% plus. So you can see the difference. Like Michael Carrick's win rate is very impressive. I can't remember how many games Michael Carrick's taken charge of now. It must be about, is it like 17 or 18 games, something like that, and only two defeats. And if you consider that's about a third of the games Maresca's taken charge of, and only two defeats. So I think you could argue that Michael Carrick must be on about I think it's high 60s. Like it's not sustainable to get that sort of win rate over the league. I don't think. Like if he did that the whole season, he's winning the league comfortably. But I think this is currently the win rate, 67%. So and that's really high. I think if you think about that, let's say if you're winning two-thirds of your games in a 38 game season, so that's effectively about say 26 wins, and that would be what 78 points, and then you factor draws into that. You're in a title race if you do that. And you might be winning the league as well based on that, particularly if you're beating your rivals. So yeah, no, these numbers are this is quite impressive for Carrick. But if he can do it over a whole season, then we're going to shock people next season. But again, doing it for this amount of time is still very good. Yeah, Rasmus Højlund is done. Napoli done. So that's all good, isn't it? That's good news as well. Really good news. No, and the madness. For people that are around tonight, I'm thinking of starting the show. I'll have a chat with other people, but it might be like an eight-ish sort of show. So I need a bit of time to organise things. But there's going to be, if you got some suggestions of what you want to see on the show, then you can either let me know in the chat now or let me know just like posting either on the Discord, which the United TV Socials is pinned, or in any sort of form. If you're on Twitter, you can message me. But if you got a suggestion for tonight's show, it will probably be covering today's news, but it's going to be um, one of the best panels we've got. Myself, that sounds a bit bad. Okay, but the guests are going to make up the panel. Helgi, we said better, and myself, and we might get a fourth person. So we might go for like a full panel show tonight and cover anything people want to talk about. But I'm trying to work out the best time to start. It might be about 8 p.m. ish. I think there might be some small teams playing tonight, which we don't really care about clashing with. But let me just double check the football. It might be that we overlook no, we overlay it a little bit. But tonight's match is going to be tonight we've got Man City versus Bournemouth at 7:30, Chelsea versus Spurs at 8:15. Okay, maybe we will start after the Bournemouth City match starts then. So we might be able to find out if City have bottled the league and if Spurs have say avoided relegation because City need to win that game, don't they? Otherwise, it's game over. So we'll probably be live during that match, and we might find out if City are going to bottle the league, and we might find out if Spurs get relegated. So that might be some talking points. But we're going to focus on obviously Manchester United content as well. But if you've got some comments and suggestions, otherwise we'll go with the trending news. I'm not sure what the trending news is going to be, but I'm hoping to see some stories that are not all about Pep. Carrick's win rate is currently 68%, 11 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. Yeah, that's top quality, isn't it? So, um, how do you extrapolate that for a whole season? How many games is that? 11, 16 games. So 16 games. So, yeah, I'm just thinking like if you get 16 games, that's less than half a season already, isn't it? So now on that rate, you're winning at least 22 games, aren't you? Which should be 66 points. But in reality, you probably win like 25 or 6 games. They're very impressive stats, though, aren't they? I think the difficulty is going to be, like Andy said, the difficulty is going to be 2 games a week. That's going to be the tricky thing. And having depth in quality is going to be the biggest factor, 100%. Matheus Fernandez, can you imagine actually? I would say if I was going to pick a window now, I'm actually not. I'm not. I'm just trying to think. I'm actually thinking that Manchester United, Elliot Anderson, Matheus Fernandez, Carlos Baleba. I think that could be. I think that could be. Yeah, could be a decent window. I know people have different views and opinions on every single signing, but I think that could be a good window. That could be really good. Yeah, it'd be great for the channel to get back to 2 games a week. It's been like tricky having a couple. We're going to go from like 2 games a week. With the World Cup's going to be like 3 or 4 games a day, isn't it? So it's going to be absolutely nuts. So yeah, I'm wondering whether it's going to be what to do during the World Cup. Should we just hammer the World Cup and like do Man United stuff in between? We're going to be like 24/7 if we do that. So it's going to be I think it's going to be exciting times, but it might be pretty busy times on the channel. I might need to get some help involved and get some more people that want to just sit here and talk about football. 'Cause yeah, no, that was strange actually. That was strange. Big up to you, Ryan, and big up to people in the chat. At the moment, YouTube doesn't really share the content because the channel's quite new, so we're kind of reliant on people that just find the channel by some miracle. I don't know how people first found the channel, but if you found the channel, then obviously that's great. But for some reason, no one has any. It's like a secret channel at the moment. I look at impressions and they're like the zero. So YouTube just doesn't let anyone else find the channel. It's weird, isn't it? But if you are watching for some reason you haven't ever seen the channel before, yeah, said funny you say that it popped up on the stream. I think it only pops up if you actually already seen it. Like if you've already seen the channel and you already know about the channel, then it will send it to you. But if you've never seen the channel before, it effectively doesn't promote it. So you won't ever find it. That's the weird thing. So I don't know. Hopefully it is. The thing is, if a thumbnail comes up and you watch it, then I think that then sends YouTube a message that YouTube goes, oh, okay, so it's actually you like it. So if you do see it and it pops up, then if you watch it, then it does like send a message to YouTube that you like it. If you like leave a comment on a video, then immediately go and watch something else on YouTube. That sends a message to YouTube that people don't watch it, then leave YouTube. That's the worst thing you can do is then leave YouTube. But if you watch some of the videos and then leave a comment or share it or then watch more content on YouTube, that's what YouTube just wants you to be on the platform. It doesn't really care what you watch. It just wants you to be on the platform. So if it sends something like that and you watch it, it'll just be happy. But eventually it'll come. Now we'll do the World Cup, we'll hammer Man United news, and eventually things will get back to how they used to be. But it's going to take a little bit of time. Thanks for doing the extrapolation maths. So over a season, that is about 26 wins, 8 draws, 4 losses total points. I was actually thinking like, no, you could take it, divide 38 by, divide 16 by 38, times it by 100, and work it out. But so you got 86 points, 26 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses. That's 86 points wins you the title a lot of the times. So yeah, you think we should do call-ins before World Cup games? I'll have to try and figure out the timing because we can't be 24/7, but we can be. It depends what we think as well. That it might be that is it better to do a call-in show before the game or directly after the game? And what do people think? I think after the game's quite fun because there's loads of talking points, and it could mean that people can watch a game and then come in and talk about, I know the red card, the VAR decision, the amazing goal by Bruno, or Harry Mainoo's like fantastic play or something. So it could be that we do that and do like a very short call in after a watch along or something like that. I'm just trying to think of what the best thing to do is as well. But if you've got some suggestions, yeah, let me know, and we'll try and do a few things as well. So managers tend to prioritize experience. I know, but there is like I think João Pedro's been like a top player, isn't he? I think with Matheus Fernandes, it really depends on like the. I think the World Cup might be a slower competition, but I think you need to have options. I think you need to have some energetic players as well. So I think Fernandes would be a good player to have in the squad, but I think it might show that these teams have a lot of depth. They have a lot of quality, don't they? So it might be that. But I'm going to head off now, guys. We will be streaming tonight with a big panel. Can we a quick look at fixtures? Um, which fixtures do you mean, Bilal? If you got a quick question, I can't really put anything on the screen at the moment. But if you got a quick question about fixtures, do you mean like the last? Do you mean the last Premier League season, or do you mean World Cup? What we'll do some like sort of World Cup preview, and we can do like a preview stream maybe for the World Cup competition, and because we got one more game left. Once the season's finished, then I think the World Cup we'll start looking at that, and Amaranth and Benfica, it seems. I was hoping to go to Liverpool. So it seemed like a, but I'm happy if Slot stays there. That would be absolutely fantastic. But cheers, guys. There's going to be a big show tonight. If you're on the Discord, I'll push it on there as well. But I will be showing it on Twitter as well. Check the channel from about. I think it's unlikely it'll be as early as 7, but I think 7:30, 8 o'clock is probably be a more realistic start point. And we'll be there to talk about Man United and hopefully cover anything that happens in the matches as you're there as well. Yeah, I would say Slot's doing a good job. Like trust the process. Like give Slot 4 years at least, and then we'll see. Yeah, what's hype about? You can, if you're watching on a mobile phone, you can hype the channel. I don't know how it works because obviously I can't watch my own stream, but there's like I think there's a hype button you can do like once or twice a month or something. So if you want to hype the channel, I think it's supposed to send a message to YouTube that it's worth watching. I don't know how that works. But big up, guys. Thank you for watching. We will be doing like more calling shows, at least after the match on the weekend, and we will do potentially something. I don't know if we'll do it one midweek. It depends on news, but we will be like trying to get people on a lot more over the next few weeks. But then, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later tonight.